Today, I want to pay tribute to all mothers for 10 of the many fasts that we must owe our mothers. So tribute to all mothers for all 10 fasts among the many that we owe you, dear mothers. My own mother was magnificent, was outstanding, was tender, she was honorable, she was extraordinary, and she was remarkable. See, I have spelled mother. That is how my own mother was. Yours was, if not better, than the same. Our mothers were our first rooms, first houses, our first worlds. In my mother's womb, I experienced my first room and world. Sometimes I feel like returning to my mother's womb, to be safe inside the cocoon of hope and warmth, far away from the egos and emotions of the outside life. Now I know I could not choose the womb that housed me, but I can choose the tomb that will take me home. I will not choose Corona. My second fast. Our mothers were our first sofa beds. Yes, on her laps I sat and slept. They were my first comfort. In my mother's lap, I was always safe. At times of trouble, like this Corona, I could have run to take shelter on her laps and forget all the sorrow and troubles. Now I'm on my own. I must win though. Our mothers were our first restaurants. Yes, my first dining and whining were her breasts. It was my perfect meal, the real deal. She held and rocked and baby-talked me. It was supply and demand when I wanted to suckle. It was a bond that was secure and seemed lifelong. Even with Corona, she could have hugged me. Our mothers were our first limousines. Yes, my first ride was on her back and chest. When my tiny legs could not carry me along, my mother offered me economy and first-class facilities. She carried me on the chest. I could ride and sleep and even breastfeed. When on the back, it was just like a ride and sleep. The beauty was that there were no quarantines on arrival. Our mothers were our first toilets. Her laps were my first washrooms. What indeed would my mother not tolerate of me? I could soil her, poop and piss on her, and she could clean it up with a smile. Corona would not have deterred her. Our mothers were our first fashionistas. Yes, My mother was my first dresser and groomer. My mother wore me simple clothes, but did so with love and kindness. And I looked lovely in everybody's face. Our mothers were our first doctors. My mother's palm and fingers were the first thermometers that measured my body temperature. I am that little baby that once inside her grew. I got to sprout and grow and bloomed into a person. All thanks to my first doctor who monitored and cared for my infancy. Mortality would have robbed her of me, but she doctored me. Our mothers were our first teachers. My mother was the first to teach me how to talk. Mama was my greatest teacher, a teacher of compassion, love, and fearlessness. If love is sweet as a flower, then my mother is that sweet flower of love. Yes, my mother, my teacher, my friend. Our mothers were our first entertainers. Yes, she was my first and best friend. She was always my mother. She will forever be my friend wherever she is. Lullabies she sang for me as I slept in her laps, in her hands, and onto that little bed. Above all, our mothers were our first love. Yes, my mother was my first love. Of all the special joys in life, the big ones and the small ones, a mother's love and tenderness is the greatest of them all. And indeed, my mother's love was the biggest of them all. There are many other firsts our mothers gave us. Let us all love our mothers. Indeed, our mothers are great. Yours, mine, mothers to our children, mothers are great. My hats off to all mothers.